Okay, now Liz is out of the way, let's get into it. Once again, thanks very much for all the questions. I'll try and rattle through these, keep it as interesting as I can. Why are the bikes blue? Well, because they're the fastest, aren't they? Obviously, why wouldn't they be blue? I know Liz already sort of answered this earlier, but how does she feel about being a famous YouTube star? I do agree with what she said. Sometimes she really doesn't want to be on YouTube, and obviously we're not famous YouTube stars, but you know when you're ramming a camera in somebody's face, or you might not do, but I do, it can be quite intimidating. It feels quite normal to me now because I've done this for like 2.5, 3 years, but to Liz, sometimes she does just tell me, go away, leave me alone. So if I've ever done a session with Liz, there's not much input from her. She's probably had a go at me. Kinsey, I make lots of proposals to Liz. It's normally about me buying a new bike, and that'll probably be the only kinds that I'm going to make it for a long time. Thanks, Aidan. Best advice for an Ironman first timer: probably don't sweat the small stuff. So it's too easy to get caught up in, I need a disc wheel, I need carbon this, I need a new bike that, I need these carbon plate trainers. Just try and nail the basics. Learn to swim, be able to swim the distance, get comfortable on a bike and fit enough to do the distance, work on your running, try and get through a marathon, and then from there, then start looking at your smaller parts. Consistent training, diet, sleep is much more important than all those things. But that said, if you want to buy yourself some new kit, go for it. Thanks, Andrew. Well, I don't think there's anything that Will Monday is better than you at. I'm sure you'll agree, so obviously you. Thanks, John. So I haven't done the new Ironman UK course in its entirety. I did ride the 2019 course, like the top half of it, and that was super tough. And I did it in 2018, but that was a different course again. And I believe they've also changed it again for 2020/2021. So I might not be able to give you a great answer. If we look at TT bikes versus road bikes on hilly courses, so Wales, for example, was definitely a TT bike course, very smooth, fast flowing. Bolton, a lot of dead turns, a lot of potholes, a lot of braking, turning, steep hills. I might lean more towards a road bike, but I'd only lean more towards a road bike if it was significantly lighter than the TT bike and I still had aero bars for it. So you might want to weigh those things up. And I know you're located quite close to the peak, so just get out and test. If you've got a TT bike as well, go out for a long ride of your TT bike. See if you struggle more on the climbs with it. Look at your gearing, that sort of stuff. I'd always tend to lean towards a TT bike as well for photos. Looks better on pictures, doesn't it? Andy, it's because I spend so much time swimming. I just need that proportion, so I had to sort of stretch them out and get them big. It's actually annoying when I come to buy shoes. Thanks, Michelle. You've been here since day one, so appreciate the support. Thanks, Kirsty. I'm sure you can empathise with this. Why triathlons? I'm sick of getting injured all the time. And of course, when you're just a runner and you get an injury, your whole sport's removed. So it's not just a case of not training at all. It's also you're missing out on the social, going to running club, park run, all those little things that you do as an accessory to training that you miss out on. So triathlon enabled me to, regardless of what sort of injury I'd got, I could probably still ride a bike or go for a jog or something. So that really helped. And then of course, not being a very competitive runner, still not being an especially competitive triathlete, but being in a bigger field and being in a different race, you actually feel like you're in a race, whereas a lot of running things I was doing, you're just racing the clock, aren't you? So and triathlon's just a bit more of a buzz, an excuse to buy bikes and stuff, isn't it? Another tip for a newbie, I would say keep it fun. So regardless of how well you're trying to perform, how fast you're trying to be, how strong you're trying to get, do the things that you enjoy because you will naturally become better at those things because you'll do more of it. There might become a time where you need to focus on the things you don't enjoy, but certainly at the beginning, keep that enjoyment there so that you don't just fizzle out and dislike the sport. So I want to pick up on the question about Liz doing an Ironman or not doing an Ironman from earlier. She might say she's really against doing an Ironman, but as I said earlier, I'd have said that a while ago. In 2016, I did London Marathon. When I finished it, I was like, there is no way I'll ever do a marathon after cycling 112 miles. Well, look where we are now. I would love to see her do it. Probably, she's done the bike run of a half iron, so all she needs to do is learn how to swim and she can do a 7.3. When we move house, we're going to have a pool quite close to us, and I know a gentleman who is a great swim instructor, and he doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to, and Liz doesn't know this yet either, but I'm going to try and get Liz set up some swimming lessons. You know what it's like when you're trying to teach your other half how to do something. I don't know how to swim anyway, but you don't, if I tell her to do something, she'll tell me to do one, whereas if somebody else is telling her to do something, she might just listen. So the plan for me is over the winter, get Liz to swim, and then next year, trying to get her to do some triathlons, just because I know she'll enjoy it. If she tries swimming and doesn't enjoy it, then fine, I'll leave it, but I just want to give it a go. James, Ironman UK. Look around on the bike course, try and take it in. It is a good course in parts. The support is excellent, so try and enjoy it a bit. In terms of performance for Ironman UK, I would definitely get some good gearing. By good gearing, I mean low gearing. I'd be running at least a 32 cassette with a compact or a mid-compact crank, just so you don't have to grind up all those hills. There's so many little sharp kickers, it'll weigh you down. So other than that, give it some welly. Ewan, I mean, at least 10, I hope, maybe 15, depending what the colour is. So yeah, more in morale than anything else. Tom, 3 questions. You're a super fan, aren't you? Tall and booty. I don't drink lager, only the alcohol-free stuff. An FTP between 370 and 380 watts, depending on what social circle I'm in. I might tell some people it's higher, some people it's lower. No, about 370 to 380. I haven't tested recently, but the sessions I've been training on are based on that threshold. Gareth, so my training changed mainly in lockdown, that I wasn't training in groups, as wasn't anybody else. But like more specifically, chain gangs, group rides. I did a lot of my bike training last year in those environments. So not particularly structured, but just doing good, hard group rides. And I think I really missed that, particularly when I come to try and do an undulating course. I'd get a lot of fitness for that surge recover from training with others. And training on my own, I haven't really ticked that box this year. So that's where I'm feeling that I'm mostly falling short. My training also changed, that I wasn't coached up until halfway through the first major lockdown. And then I'll start being coached by James at Rideharder. Cheers, James. I'll leave his links down below as well. And that revolutionised it. I wasn't doing too much training, I wasn't doing too little training anymore, I wasn't second guessing it. It gave me somebody to talk to about my training, and that's really, really helped me. So I should probably have done that a long time ago. And since then, it's made me think a lot less about lockdown and just more about focusing on my training. But it's a first world problem, isn't it? I'm not going to sit here and cry about not being able to get exactly the training I want to get done when there's like thousands of people dying. It's just not a thing, is it? So you know, I will get fitter and do group rides at some point moving through this pandemic. Thanks, Andrew. So my job, I'm the HR and People Development Manager. So I work with people. There are a lot of excellent people at British Triathlon. It's a great place to work for. The company culture is excellent. It's weird for me coming from a corporate background, going into a governing body. You're not that weirdo who goes for a run at lunchtime anymore. Like, you're a weirdo if you're not doing something at lunch, whether it be running, swimming, volleyball, whatever. So it was a bit new to me, but yeah, it's completely normal now, and it's a great place to be. Do I get any tips from them on my training? Yes, so a lot of the coaches aren't based in the office that I'm in. However, there's a lot of great people with great experience in sport, not just triathlon. A lot of good runners at British Triathlon as well. So yes, absolutely. I'm probably a victim of not always like asking enough. But when I have got advice, the most specific thing I've got that I picked up at some point last year was running fast. Like, if I want to get fast at running, I need to run fast. So do more fast stuff. So yeah, definitely pick that up, and I definitely think about that a lot. So certainly something I'm going to try and think about over this year when I get the opportunity to ask some questions to people, then I will do. Obviously, I bore the performance team with my performances and just check that I'm not meeting that Olympic selection criteria, just to be sure, but haven't really had the nod from them yet. Hardest session I've ever done. Now, there have been a few. I suppose the hardest ones you've ever done are the ones that you don't finish, and there's been quite a few of those, but I think sometimes you don't finish them because of mental reasons. So I'm going to talk about a session that I didn't finish, but it's probably too much anyway. It was in 2016. It was the first year I really took training seriously. I was still quite heavy. I think I was about 17 stone. I was training for the London Marathon, and I was 3 weeks out from London. It was going to be my longest run, and I'd done a 20-mile race the week before, and I really struggled to finish it. And I was like, I need to get up to like 23, 24 miles next weekend. Otherwise, I don't know if I can do this marathon. So I set out from home on a Saturday morning. Liz came with me on the bike. Cheers, Liz. And I ran to the local park run, did park run, and then ran home. But I was about 3 miles away from home. I ticked over to 22-ish miles, and it had got bad at about 20 miles, and it got really bad by 22. Like, I was struggling to put one foot in front of the other bad. And I actually had to stop, get on Liz's bike, ride her bike home, and she jogged home in like not running kit. But I was that broken, I couldn't keep up with her on the bike. Like, going up a hill, I was like, could hardly put any power on the pedals. I was shivering. I was a bit of a wreck. And from then I put my feet up to taper into it, and I'm glad I did, because that absolutely broke me. Oliver, well, not known for my agility, am I? So I will go for 1 horse-sized duck. 100 duck-sized horses would be a nightmare. Josh, well, the Ironman journey, I sort of feel like I'm still on it, and I hope I'm going to be on it for a long time to come, because it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? You train for an event, and then you learn some more stuff, and you go for another training, pick another different event. If I try and put it in a nutshell, then I'd name it like that, a roller coaster, but I'd just say it's been excellent. The people I've met through training, through clubs, through events, people I've met through the channel, has been absolutely incredible. I could sit here and talk about it all day. Sport and triathlon as a whole has completely changed my life, and I'll be forever grateful for it. And hopefully you will enjoy that as well, and hopefully there's a lot more to come. Dino, don't get jealous about my hair. This is all au naturel, sort of, most of the time, maybe. Thanks, Harry. Well, I don't know about consider. He just gives it me anyway. Honestly, any conversation I have with him, he's like, oh, let me talk you through my hair care routine. Will, it's old, man. So Liz answered this a bit earlier. Individual stories. Who we were before off camera and before YouTube fame. I wouldn't call this YouTube fame at all. I'm the same guy as I was a few years ago, except my interests were different. So I was interested in going out and getting drunk rather than going out and hurting myself on a bike. Tooth saga, tooth out. I feel like I'm fully recovered now. There's a bit of a hole still, got to be careful with brushing and stuff. But other than that, awesome. Thanks very much. Gary, I can't even answer this because Liz hates spiders and she'll moan at me if I talk about spiders. Thanks, Adam. Yes, I did watch the Super League Triathlon Arena Games. Also speaking to people who were there, it was very weird apparently. Obviously no spectators, no crowd noise, just fully indoor. As a viewer, it was great. It's better than nothing. However, I don't think it will ever fully replace triathlon. I'd love to see like a Zwift National Championship indoor triathlon, but I don't think I particularly want to do it because it's probably not a fair reflection of how good you are as a triathlete. But then if that's the way the sport is going, then perhaps what a triathlete is going to change. It certainly seems to be the way that like the Olympics is going to go, more towards like a mixed relay sort of format. But yeah, it was okay, a lot better than nothing, and massive shout out to Super League for putting it on. Thanks, Ian. Have I considered coaching? Yes, absolutely. However, I'm sure you guys see as well, I don't like when people do a bit of sport and then all of a sudden become a coach. I think that's a very different skill set. My coach, James, often talks about good athletes don't always make good coaches. So whilst I won't class myself as a good athlete, I do think, okay, maybe I could be a good coach. But in order to do so, I want to do some study first. I want to get some experience first. So this winter, I'm going to be doing my British Triathlon Level 1 and Level 2 coaching qualifications, which will take me into sort of the middle of next year. During that time, James, my coach, has agreed to be my mentor. So he's going to sort of try and take me on board and share his coaching experience with me, let me sort of trial things with him and run ideas past him and just talk about coaching essentially and try and get a bit of experience that way. Following that, I would love to get involved in a local tri club. When we move, there are a couple of clubs not a million miles away. So I'd love to get down there and do a bit of pending COVID going away, a bit of hands-on, face-to-face, coaching. So getting a bit of experience actually coaching people rather than just writing a plan online and email it to somebody. That's not really exactly what I was thinking of. So definitely considered it, not really as a commercial venture, not really looking to sort of do it as something to make money, but never say never, but I'm fortunate at the minute as well where I've got a full-time job as well as training as well as YouTube, so like I don't have the time to add another thing in, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Lee, bike drafting. Now, I don't really see much of it because I'm such a terrible swimmer. I'm very often coming from behind in the bike leg, so I'm going past people and not really sitting at the same sort of pace. Obviously, there are people coming past me as well, but generally I find if I'm going past people, the speed difference is decent, and similarly, if people are passing me, it's decent. I've never really had anybody come past me where I thought, oh, I could probably sit in there, just outside their draft zone at 12 metres behind, so I've not really seen much of it. I did do a duathlon a couple of years ago where somebody literally sat on my wheel for a few miles and I had to put a few digs in to drop him, and at the end he said, oh, thanks for the tow. I thought, well, it's not really the point of it, is it? It's not drafting, but what? Right, Gary, don't hit me. No, I don't do any strength and conditioning work. When I do stuff for the videos, that's pretty much the only time I do it, and every time I do it on video, I think, right, I'm going to start this now, I'm going to do it regularly, I'm going to do 2-3 sessions a week, and it just never happens. However, when we move house, I'm going to be getting some strength equipment, probably tying a towel on, but also to try and work with, and I'm going to try and get in some sort of routine. Thanks, Gaz. How do I find motivation? Probably through events, which has been tough this year. Having a target in mind. I train well under pressure, so leaving it until like 4 or 5 weeks before an event really makes me pull my finger out. And also riding in groups, running in groups. There's nothing more motivating than training with people who are better and worse than you, but just being in that social environment really motivates me. Will I be entering the 12-hour TT next year? I don't want to sit here and say, yes, I'm definitely doing it. I'm going to do it diary dependent. Triathlon is my #1 goal. So if the 12-hour is a week before an Ironman, clearly I won't be doing the 12-hour. But if it falls any more than like 2 weeks outside of any triathlon, I think I'll give it a go. Just going and seeing it this year made me really want to do it. Thanks, Andy. So I think Liz already answered a bit about this, but just to add to that, The thing that's disappointed me the most is not really been the events, it's not been the races, it's been the missing training camps, missing trips with friends and club mates. They're the best things for me. I really enjoy it. It's an added bonus that you get a load of fitness from it, so that's probably been the thing that's disappointed me the most this year. Thanks, Jake. I don't know. When we move, I'm going to get some sort of strength set up and I'm going to get some sort of plan, so I'll talk more about that then, but at the minute, not a great deal. David, yes, absolutely. I understand you've done a fair bit of time trialing, so you've probably got a lot of experience from that. In my short time trialing this year, I've picked up so much knowledge and information and tips off of people. It's really, really helped me so far, so I'm definitely looking to continue that next year. I'm not going to focus on like the national champs or anything, but I definitely want to keep working on time trialing. I think it makes you less lazy with regard to the bike leg in triathlon. Cheers, Lee. Yeah, typical week. I mean, it depends what event I'm going into. Generally, I will ride a bike 5 or 6 days a week, and of that, maybe 2 sessions will be hard, 2 will be easy rides, 1 will be a tempo mixed long ride. So probably 2 interval sessions, 2 easy rides, and a sort of club ride sort of thing. But obviously, it changes depending upon what comes up. I'm a bit of a sucker for a chain gang and stuff, so if other rides come up, then I'll just go and do it. Sean, I don't know whether I'm reading this wrong. Ultimate TT bike in what event and country? Do you mean bike course in what event and country? Well, Wales for me has been the best course I've done in terms of the most interesting and challenging. The ultimate course has got to be Kona, hasn't it? I've been lucky enough to ride some of the course in Kona. I haven't ridden it all. It's not particularly an interesting course, but just being in that environment really makes it, makes it sort of worthwhile. An ultimate TT bike. I don't know, but I might have something coming to the channel in the next few weeks / couple of months, so hang fire on that one. Michael, yeah, I've not really Zwift raced for a few weeks now, just through sticking to structured training and that it's warmer, so on the nights where I do a Zwift race, I'm just out on the roads instead. I would definitely pick it back up in the winter though. Cyclocross, yeah, I have actually done some cross racing in the past. I did have a cross bike, but I used it as a winter road bike and absolutely trashed it, so I ended up getting rid of it in the end. I will definitely do some more. It's not looking like cyclocross is going to go ahead in a normal format this year, but I did definitely think about doing some perhaps next year. Lee, I think behind the saddle bottles, I think they're Canyon bottles. I find they're quite strong and grippy. They're not really very light, but they're supposed to be this, feel like the most grippy ones. The behind the saddle bottles, I'll always put like a cable tie on the cage or a bit of tape in it or something just to make it a bit more of a firm fit. So that was it, Q&A done and dusted. Thank you very much to all those who popped a question in. If I haven't answered anything in the right way or fully enough, please do let me know down below and I'll respond to you there. And if anyone's got any other questions about anything at all, just drop them below and I'll pick it up in the next few videos. I'll sort of pick one out every day or something. So thanks very much. I really enjoy sharing sort of mine and Liz's story and sharing a bit of our lives with you. Hopefully we see some of you guys at events in the not too distant future. And yeah, I'll see you soon.